Hi everyone, welcome back to La Vida Victoria. This is Victoria. So this is going to be a little birth story and about a 1 month postpartum check-in, how I'm doing, what's going on over here. I've been MIA. I assume that you guys realized I had a baby because I did my what's in my hospital bag video, and I think it was the next day or the day after that my water broke. So that is what led to having a baby so early because I did not expect. I expected to go past my due date because that's how I was last time. So it was actually really shocking. So I'll try to keep this short because I tend to make my videos too long, I think. So I'll keep this concise. And if you hear some gurgling, that's my baby. He's with us and in the bassinet. He was just sleeping, so I'll probably have to pick him up. Anyways, so yeah, my water broke. I was here resting in bed. So thankfully I was really close to the bathroom, could take care of everything. Called the doctor and they were like, oh yeah, you need to come in. Because the doctors have a big thing about how there can be infection after like 18 hours. So I wasn't in a super rush. I had my notes, so I hadn't actually packed my hospital bag, but I was prepared enough to just go down the list. I also told my husband, he went down his list and took care of the chickens and the cat and all the animals and the house stuff. And then he hauled all the stuff to the car. But yeah, that made it so easy and nice. I definitely recommend having a list if you don't actually put the stuff in your bag. So then I went to the hospital, and my brother and my sister-in-law met my husband in the parking lot, and they took over our toddler, Dean, and so they thankfully were around and able to watch him. So that was a big help. The biggest thing I needed, the biggest stressor of everything, was just who was going to take care of my other little one, because I didn't have that to worry about last time. And I'm learning that everything seems to be more difficult with two, of course, because it's twice the work. But we'll get into that later. So my water broke, showed up at the hospital. Oh, before I went to the hospital, I know that they don't like you to eat there and all that. So we did stop at Chipotle. I didn't want to overdo it, so I just had 2 tacos, and I gave Dean my other taco. And my husband was starving. He always loves Chipotle, so and I like it too. It's fairly healthy. So yeah, so then I showed up with my tummy nice and full and happy. They checked me and they're like, yeah, your water broke, because I had to have a towel. Like, I was leaking all over the place. And I even brought a towel in the car, but I was already wearing pads because luckily I had pads from my last birth, so left over, so that way I didn't make a mess everywhere. But they make you take off everything to check you, and so at that point, yeah, I was going to leak all over the place. Maybe TMI, I don't know. This is for mamas who either went through this or are about to go through this, or maybe you're pregnant, maybe you want to get pregnant. This is for the mamas. So if you're not a mama and you don't know about all this stuff, well, there's going to be stuff that you probably don't want to hear about, bodily fluid wise, in this video. So yeah, so then they checked us into our room and, did all that stuff. I did set up my essential oils. I was trying to make it a very natural birth process. I wanted to give my body a chance to have contractions on its own. So although they had pressured me to get Pitocin right away, I refused it and said, can we wait? They also wanted to give me an IV right away, and I'm like, I don't need an IV right away. Like, nothing's going on with me yet. So they said that they got the approval from the doctor. So I ended up, because that was like late in the evening, then I tried to labor overnight. The night nurse was not happy with me not doing Pitocin. I don't think they're used to people saying no. And that was really hard because I'm not confrontational, but yeah, so they can't make you do it. So then it comes to like 9 in the morning and my doctor shows up, and I felt like I was a little kid in the principal's office because she was very mad that I refused everything. I'm like, I thought she knew about this, and she was afraid that I wasn't dilating and all that. And I'm like, well, you haven't even checked me yet. Well, she checked me and I wasn't really. I was only like at a 2. So, okay, I needed a little push. And then she was like, you know, you're approaching your 18 hours, you know, you're coming up on it, you could have infection, and that can be really bad for the baby. And so they fear monger you into doing everything. So I was like, okay. So I'm like, give me the antibiotics, give me Pitocin, even though my husband was super against it. And I was too, because I used it last time for induction, and then, you know, I didn't progress. I wasn't able to, you know, he didn't descend all the way, so I had to have a C-section. And it's just drugs that lead you to more and more things. And so they said, we're going to start you low and slow. So I thought that's what was happening. And well, every 15 minutes, they bump you up a number. And I guess it's kind of like the strength of contractions or something. A normal, like non-medicated birth is like a 6. So they had me every 15 minutes bumping me up a number until they saw on their charts the strong amount of contractions that they wanted me to have. And so I ended up at 12 dying because Pitocin makes everything just hurt so much more than it needs to. And sure enough, I was dilating and they were like, oh, your contractions are great now. We can stop at a 12. I guess you can go to 20. And then if you really want to, you can have internal monitoring and go to a 30. And I can't imagine, because at 12, like, I was dying. I was begging for the epidural. I felt like they took way too long to get the epidural person there, and then she took forever to get all that going. I've literally never screamed so much as this whole labor process. Screaming. Awful. But yes, there was relief once I got my epidural. And then I felt good. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm progressing, I'm doing this and that. And then, you know, I was like, it was not that long. I'm really bad with numbers and time, especially during that whole process. But I think it was like an hour or two later, and it was like, okay, we're ready to push now. And so I didn't want to push on my back. Like everything that I've read and watched videos on from doulas and everything, it's like, stand up, use your body. But their internal monitoring wasn't working, of course. So I had to be hooked up to stuff. So I couldn't really do all my ball exercises and stuff like I wanted to. I did a little bit, but then everything would go off because like the sensor wouldn't work. So then it would just start beeping and be really annoying. So I wanted to be active and help gravity help push the baby out. And that's what everyone says is the best way. But no, in hospitals, they have you flat on your back backwards. Gravity is not helping you. And it was like, can I do in different positions? It was basically different, like holding positions, or I'm like, that is not what I thought you guys had mentioned when you're like, oh, we'll try you in all different sorts of ways for pushing with an epidural. It'll be fine. But I mean, I needed the epidural, so I don't regret getting it. With Pitocin, it's just kind of a very few percentage of people can make it without an epidural, and those people are rock stars. I don't know how, but so yeah, I pushed for 2 hours. I guess he was like right there for the longest time, but he was stuck on like an inch of my pubic bone or something, and so he wouldn't come out. And they're like, oh, with time he'll just, you know, babies will move their head and turn, and then like they'll come out. But then it started getting really, really painful, like up in my ribs. And I thought that the baby was just, because he was head down. I don't know which direction he was, though they couldn't really tell. But it felt like his feet were just kicking into my ribs, and I could barely breathe, and it got so painful. I asked, I had 2 nurses with me. I was like, can I please sit up? Like, I need to move. I need to change positions. And basically they said no. And they were like, he's right there. Like, if you sit up, basically that would be bad for him coming out. But I was in so much pain, I don't think they fully grasped that until they made me stay that way. And then my baby's heart rate started plummeting. It went to like 50s, I think. And I was just screaming. Clearly the epidural wasn't working. Clearly something was wrong. So they called immediately the doctor, and there was a different doctor that was closer by. So she came in, and they were like, we need to get him out ASAP. We need to do emergency C-section. So everyone was scrambling, and then my doctor showed up last minute, and she's like, wait, before we do that, she wanted to try pulling him out with forceps. Thank God that worked. She moved so quickly. And then she was like, do you want the good news or the bad news? I was like, everything, tell me. And she's like, well, good news, you got your VBAC. He came out vaginally. They used the forceps. She's like, bad news is you tore. I had a 2nd-degree tear. And then my uterus had ruptured, which is why I was in so much pain. And she's like, let me see if I can just go through here and repair it. And she's like, I can't. I need to go through your old C-section incision and give you a new C-section to repair it. And I'm like, whatever, do whatever at this point, because I was dying. Not literally, but it felt like it. So my husband then went off with the baby, and I mean, I could see him before they wheeled me out. And then I got to the surgery room. There was also another doctor that I've heard really good things about that was in the room. So I had 2 doctors on me, and I don't know how many other helpers, but I think they put me out. And they didn't let Kyle come in with me because I wasn't actually birthing. I'd already done that part. So unfortunately, I had a VBAC, I had a uterine rupture, and I had a C-section. So the aftermath, I had all of the recovery things, and even the nurses were like, wait, you had both? It's like, yes, I did. I was not doing well. I lost a lot of blood. I didn't have to have a blood transfusion though, but they did like measure me several times, and before I came home too. And then I'm still on some iron pills. So yeah, it was really rough. Very disappointing. I wanted my body to do different things. I'd researched. I thought I was well informed. And sometimes you just, you know, this is what the cards I was dealt. But I'm thankful that my doctor was really quick in handling the situation and getting him out, saving him. Because if they had to pull him back up and out for a C-section, like, I don't know, because it takes a long time to prep and everything. I'm gonna get Edward. Yeah. So yeah, he's actually kind of, we'll go into him here. He's a pretty needy baby. He wants to be held all the time, but he was just really good in the bassinet, which was rare. So I was taking advantage and just sitting here without him. But yeah, I'm trying to get him used to the bassinet and not my arms. But yeah, so I'm so thankful he's here. So introducing baby Edward. It's Edward Donald. Donald after my father. He passed in 2010 to cancer. And so I thought that was the best way to honor him. So we have a little Donnie and a little Deanie. But yeah, Edward's nickname is Eddie. And my husband calls him Ed sometimes, which I don't love Ed because it reminds me of the famous Mr. Ed, the horse. But that's okay. I like Edward. I think it sounds old, classy, sophisticated, vintage, and I don't know an Edward. So that's nice because I had too many negative associations with common names, any names really. Like, I feel like I've met a lot of people, I've moved a lot of places, and you know, if I have a bad memory of somebody or I didn't like them, I don't want to name my kid the same name. And I also don't want to be super common where everyone his age is gonna be called the same name. So yeah, I don't think a lot of people like Edward, but I love Edward. So he's my baby, and we named him Edward. Yeah, so postpartum. He was a month this past week. So I've been healing up for a week. It was really, really hard the first week, especially because healing from everything. But then after that, we had some grandparents visit. So that came, it could have come earlier, but it was perfect timing for the fact that, I wasn't running around in my mesh underwear in my robe all day, which, by that point I could change myself and feel a little put together for company. And then they entertained the toddler and took care of him as well. Loved to hold him all day, although he did get spoiled from being held all the time. So after they left, it was really hard for me to put him down in anything. And I still kind of have challenges, but I think it's getting better. I can use the swing. He doesn't like his bouncer yet, which is surprising. Maybe he's just too little, but I got Dean the baby Bjorn bouncer, I think well after a month, so maybe 2 months old or something. So maybe he's just too small for it right now. But after that, like, Dean loved that thing. So, and it was really convenient, and I could put him there, and I felt like he was upright. Also, he has reflux. We saw the pediatrician, so he did prescribe a Pepcid type thing, that we have not picked up yet because we're waiting for the insurance to kick in. But hopefully that will help, because he just spits up all the time and he needs to be on an incline. But I can't, it's not safe to leave him in the boppy. Like, I have him propped up in the bassinet when I can look at him. But when I sleep, I can't do that because he could, roll and suffocate or whatever. And then also, I really don't want to do bed sharing, and I've been doing it on accident or because I'm at my wit's end at nighttime. Usually he's laying on top of me. I have like a barricade, but like, I haven't had an accident, thank God. But I just get so exhausted, and sometimes I doze off. And I don't think it's for long, but that's really bad, and I know. And so even last night, I got him to sleep in the bassinet for much longer stints. He is nursing like every 2 hours, though. I breastfeed, and it's demanding. And even during the day, it's like, if I want him to be quiet and not cry his head off and get hysterical, I have to feed him. And I don't feel ready before 2 hours, but if he's demanding it, it's the easiest way. Otherwise, I think I'm passing it, but in the beginning, and like honestly until like 2 days ago, in the nighttime, obviously your new mom, I don't get enough sleep. I've been really spoiled with sleep in the past, and I sleep a lot, usually at least 8 to 10 hours. And of course, I'm not getting that right now. And so, a lot of people get postpartum depression or anxiety, but I think I get postpartum rage. Like, I don't do anything except, like, I do scream. And it's in the middle of the night, and luckily, like, my toddler sleeps right above me, and he doesn't hear me. Because I look at the monitor, but I feel so bad after it. It makes me feel really guilty. I just, like, if I could blast metal music, I would. And that is not me. Like, I am so low-key, like, everything's okay. I get along with everybody. I try to keep the peace all the time. And so the fact that I get so angry is like, I don't like that side of me. I don't want it to come out, and I just have to remember, like, I'm so thankful for all the good things here, and this is just a momentary time, because with Dean, it took us about 3 months for him to sleep through the night and then be in his own crib, in his own room, and so that was so nice. So it was 3 months that were hard, and then after that, like, he's a really good boy, and he's very easy. Of course, he has a lot more meltdowns now. The transition to 2 has been difficult, because if he's crying, it spins up Dean, and then he's crying, and then it's just like, and then the cat's starting to meow, and it's very overwhelming. And I know that like I can't just separate them all the time because they need to be together. And they both, like, he has to get over it, but he's jealous and temperamental right now. And he just turned 2 weeks exactly 2 weeks before Edward was born. So he didn't really have very many tantrums. If he had tantrumed, it was so quick, and I usually just count to 10, and he's like, that calms him down. Like, he's a numbers man, and he loves numbers and looking at the clock and telling me what time it is, or the ABCs, letters, that kind of stuff. But now it's like, if I walk down the stairs with him, but I'm in front of him, he'll start crying. If I say, oh, I need to go get this from the other room, he starts crying because I'm leaving the room. I don't know if he thinks I'm abandoning him or something. And when we were reunited after the hospital, my brother and sister-in-law brought him over, and he was so weird. He didn't want to come to me. And that night was just awful. We were all kerfluffed, and everybody was crying, and I couldn't do anything. At that point, I really couldn't do anything. I couldn't even bend down and get on the ground with him. Can't pick him up. I was very tender, like everything's, bandaged and wrapped up, and I guess you could just sense all the changes. And I had never been away from him before, and it was like 3 days, I think, because Friday, like 5 o'clock, we dropped. They met us at the hospital, and then they came over and dropped him off Sunday night. So my brother was flying out in the morning. So timing wise, it worked perfect that they were able to watch him. But still, it broke my heart because I've never seen Dean so upset and like that, and like towards me as well. We've been each other's world for 2 years. So they say is going from 0 to 1 harder, or 1 to 2. In my experience, 1 to 2 definitely. Because with 1, when they sleep or whatever, if they sleep, you can kind of recalibrate, do things you need to do, go do dishes, whatever. Now it's like I can't eat my meals without him in my arms. Sometimes I can get away with him in the swing, but I'm also utilizing the baby carrier a lot. That thing, it's very helpful, but I couldn't wear it in the beginning. I've only been able to wear it kind of the last week or 2, which is basically when I stopped bleeding. So, but I felt like it was putting pressure down there, and I didn't like that feeling. I felt like that was wrong. That was stressing the area too much. So I didn't want to wear him. See, now he's snoring. I don't know if you can hear that. He makes so many noises. He's so much louder than Dean was. But he is a cuddle bug. He's a snuggle bug, which I should love and just soak up, as they say. But I'm really, you might disagree with me, but the newborn phase is so far my least favorite phase. I really like Dean as a toddler. He has independent moments. Like right now, he's upstairs in his room. We call it quiet time. It used to be nap time, but everybody needs time to themselves, so it's like an hour or so. I'll keep him up there unless if he does fall asleep, it's usually like by the door or something so sad. So then when he wakes up, then I'll go get him. So that's pretty much my life update right now. Yeah, sorry I haven't been able to film sooner, but I was not in the mood. I'm starting to feel better. So I obviously showered and put on some makeup, so that's good. But yeah, if you're a new mom, hang in there. I know it gets better from last time, so that is the light at the end of the tunnel. If this kept going on forever, sleeping an hour here or there at night, I don't know how we do it as mothers. We pull it together and then we do the next day, and so you just have to take it day by day. But slowly but surely they grow and they learn, and he's growing really well. At his pediatrician appointment for his 1 month, he's at 9 pounds 2 ounces or something. He was born 7 pounds 3 ounces. And so, they lose weight at first, up to 10%, and then they gain it back. But he's short compared to Dean. Dean was always in the 90th percentiles, and he's still up there. But this guy, I think he's like 35% or something. So I didn't want a big baby because I was trying to deliver vaginally, which ended up happening, although I do feel like because my bone was in the way, and Dean wouldn't descend last time either, I feel like my pelvis is not exactly ideal for birthing babies, but I am completely done now, because after everything they said, that if I did have more babies, that I would absolutely 100,000 million % have to have a C-section. And although that wouldn't stop me, I would just be really concerned about my uterus the whole time since it has ruptured. And I'm 40, so I have 2 beautiful, healthy children. That's all I need. That's all I wanted. My husband would love a whole village, but it's not in the cards. We waited too late. So, this is perfect for me. I had wanted a little girl, so I'm sad that I missed out on that different experience, but I'm really excited to see the brother relationship and how, yes, at this age, like the first year is going to be so hard, but after that, then, they can play together and be interested in the same things and be best friends, hopefully. Sure, they'll have fights and stuff, but they can entertain themselves for a little bit. Maybe they'll get too wild, but I look forward to those moments, and I think it'll be wonderful. And yeah, so I hope you guys are doing okay. Thanks for watching. If you're still watching, thanks for sticking around. If you haven't tuned in before and you like what you saw, please subscribe, like, comment, ask me any questions. That'll help guide me what I do with my future videos, because this is all new to me. But I'd like to keep going, and I do have a lot of ideas. I just need the time and energy to do it, and I'm trying to maximize my daytime hours and multitask so that I'm not waiting till Dean goes to bed and then using that time, because I need some me time. All right, well, that's all for now. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Bye.